questions 1 through 10 on the 2005 Grade 9 Pascal Math Contest. What is the value of 200 plus 10 over 20 plus 10? 200 plus 10 over 20 plus 10. The numerator is 210, the denominator is 30. And if you divide 210 by 30, you get 7. So number 1, the answer is E. The expression is equal to, well, 6a minus 5a, 4a minus 3a, 2a minus a. Each of these look like they just become a's, and you add them up and you get 3a. So number 2, the answer is A. When x is 3, the value of this expression is, well, I immediately notice is that you've got an x minus 3 in there. So if you put x as 3, x minus 3 becomes 0. So that whole expression, since it's a product, will all be 0. So therefore, number 3, very quickly, you can get the answer as being C. 6 balls numbered 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are placed in a hat. Each ball is equally likely to be chosen. If one ball is chosen, what is the probability that the number on the selected ball is a prime number? All right. As all probability questions, we have to figure out the denominator first, in my humble opinion. It's easier. And that is the total possibilities. Well, we've got 6 balls, so the total is 6. Now, the numerator is what we are interested in, that specific thing. In our case, it's a number that's a prime. Well, these are our numbers. How many of those are prime? 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 5 is prime, and 7 is prime. So we've got 4 prime numbers. And therefore, that's the probability. And if you reduce that to lowest terms, it will be 2 over 3. So number 4, the answer is D. The value of this expression is 36 times the square root of 16, all under the square root sign. Square root of 16 is 4, and then we've got 36 times 4. And you can do this in a couple of ways. You can either multiply it, or you can just do the straight square root. I'll just multiply it because I don't think it's that big of a deal to do so. That's just square root of 144, which is 12. So number 5, the answer is A. A glass filled with water has a mass of 1,000 grams. When half the water is removed from the glass, the mass of the glass and the remaining water is 700 grams. What is the mass of the empty glass? So we've got water plus glass is equal to 1,000. Right? Because if you have a glass, and they've sort of said that you've got 2 halves, right? Half the water, they're speaking in terms of halves, so that's why I cut the water into 2 halves. And then, of course, the glass is going to be represented by a G in my equation. And then they tell you that when half the water is removed, the mass of just the glass and the remaining water, so that'll be half the water, which is W, plus the glass, is 700. And they want you to figure out the mass of G. All right, well, if you subtract these, if this is equation 1 and this is equation 2, and you subtract 1 minus 2, you get W is equal to 300. And then if you substitute that back into here, you'll get 300 plus G is equal to 700, and therefore G is equal to 400. So 400 is the answer, so number 6, choice D, is correct. If x over 3 equals 12, x over 4 equals x over 3 is equal to 12, and therefore x is equal to 36. Then they want you to figure out x over 4. That will be 36 divided by 4, and that is equal to 9. So number 7, the answer is C. Which of the numbers is larger than its square? All right. Now at first you might say, well, how can a number be larger than its square? Square is always going to be bigger, right? But obviously in one of these cases, the number is larger than its square. And if you go through these, right, -5, the square is 25. -5 is obviously less than. 3 over 2, the square is 9 over 4. And 3 over 2 is 1.5, and 9 over 4 is 2.25, so that's less. 2, the square is 4, obviously that's less. 3 over 5, let's see what we get here. 9 over 25. Okay, that seems promising. If I convert it to decimals, I'll get a little bit of a better idea. 0.6 and 0.36, well, that is greater, so there you go. Number 8, the answer is D. The triangle ABC, the value of x, y, z is x plus y, I should say. Well, a lot of the information they given us, this is 104, so therefore this angle will be 180 minus 104, which is 76. And then they also tell you that this is the same, right? That's what those two mean. So if this is x, that will also be x. And very similarly, these two sides are the same, so that also makes that triangle isosceles. So if this is y, that's also going to be y, like that. All right. Well, where do you want to go from here? Lots of things that we can do here. I'm just going to use the entire triangle like that. And if I do that, I'll get x plus y plus x plus y is equal to 180. And that means 2x plus 2y is equal to 180. And if I factor out the 2, I just get x plus y is 180. And therefore, x plus y is equal to 90. And that's what they're asking. Okay, great. Number 9 is D. What's interesting is this 104 and this 96 that I figured out were not even needed to figure out the answer. So number 9 is D. In the sequence 32x dash dash x, each term after the second is the average of the two terms immediately before it. The value of x is 32, 8, dash, dash, and then x. So each term after the second is the average of the two terms immediately before it. So this term will be the average of these two. So that's 32 plus 8 divided by 2, which is 40 divided by 2, which is 20. So this term will be the average of the preceding two terms. So that's 20 plus 8 divided by 2. 28 divided by 2 is 14. And therefore our x is the average of the preceding two terms, which is 20 plus 14 divided by 2, which is equal to 34 divided by 2, which is 17. So x is 17, and therefore number 10, the answer is A.